Alright, so I just got done practicing what I would like to call a perfect flow meditation. Um, I feel really flowy right now. Okay, so I just want to describe what I did and also describe some of the implications of practicing perfect flow. Um, if you can imagine being a creator or just living day to day life, you know, from one extreme to just the most basic thing. Um, Being in what feels like a perfect flow state, just feeling good, is, well, it feels good. I think everybody kind of wants something like that. And especially those that are interested in psychedelics, particularly mushrooms, I think we tend to experience a certain kind of pure flow. But I think that comes from a certain activity that we tend to do and that we tend to be more open to while under the influence of mushrooms, psilocybin in particular. So I've been exploring sober life and the foundations of what create experience. Because when we're on a drug or when we're not on a drug, activity creates things, it changes us. Everything we do in life is a practice. It can be seen that way, at least. And, one step in front of another leads us in a particular direction, right? So, during the practice of something, anything, we create a tendency for our bodies and our minds to relive those moments. The more we become familiar with it, it becomes more like family, right? It's normal, it becomes part of us. So, essentially, what I did here, I was feeling like garbage. I gotta admit it. I was constantly going back to my phone to look at the feeds of Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and I was instantly distasted by them and grossed out by myself and the feeling inside myself of like, I don't know what to do. Like, what am I supposed to fucking do with my life right now? I've been working really hard lately, so I've been trying to calm that down, and not overwork myself. So in these moments of trying to relax, my mind is still like, okay, we gotta do something, gotta do something, gotta do something. So I reached for my phone, I went for that Instagram feed, I started scrolling and just realized how just gross feeling it was, because it's not what I wanted to be doing. So after about 20 minutes of that, of fiddling around with my own inner self, I decided, well, what do I want to do? How do I want to feel? And the basic thing was, I want to feel good. It's so funny and so obvious. And so to get there, to get to the feeling of good, I decided to do whatever it took within my here and now, with what I have capable to experience, to feel good with myself. So it started with this. Calming down. I told myself, calm down. And I just started breathing. Calm down. Right? Because without the ability to control your mind, you're not going to get anywhere constructively. You're not going to be able to construct anything for yourself, when you're just everywhere, in everything, chaotically, So I got myself to calm down, and then the presence hit me. The moment of knowing and clarity hit me, right? I found that spaciousness between my mind and between my conscious attention. I was there. I existed with space in my atoms, in my mind, in my feelings, in my thoughts. And so that gave me the ability to focus on what I wanted to focus on, which was to feel good. Just to feel good. It makes me want to just tear up a little bit. I've been training my emotions, becoming more sensitive to things, and like, a lot of us just want to feel good. And it's funny that we can do something about it no matter what. Okay. So what I began to do, similarly to like on a psilocybin mushroom experience, at least ones that I tend to, at least activities that I tend to experience while on mushrooms, I started to just move with the alignment of my attention, focusing on what felt good. And I did not judge myself, right? I did not think about, well, what would this look like from somebody else's perspective? Who gives a fuck? Go inside of a room by yourself, you know? Or if you can't do that, go to a park or something. And really, it doesn't matter, all right? Everybody's got their own lives. And they're probably, if somebody were to see you, they'd probably project that within themselves and judge about themselves. So it doesn't matter about you, all right? When you clear your mind of the judgments and you focus on what feels good, even if it is only the moving of your hand, you know, like let's say you got some anxiety or something, like kind of right now I'm trying to speak and create something, and I'm trying to exist as a pure flow right now to provide this information, you know, and part of my hands is a little you know, I'm a little scared right now, right? Just being purely honest. So what does that feel like, and how can I feel good? You gotta listen. You gotta have the space to listen, right? So I calmed myself down. I laid on my bed and started moving, right? And the more attention you put into something else that's not your mind, the more space you're giving yourself as well, right? So it gets easier and easier as you do this. And even throughout life and throughout time, the more you do it, again, you create a tendency inside yourself, with yourself, for which you tend to do things a particular way. And if you're practicing goodness, if you're practicing the feelings of good, you're going to tend to feel good, right? Your mind's going to come to those places, and your body is going to come to those movements or expressions. As a whole, it is all just expression. We are trying to express ourselves, you know, like the foundation of our pain is not being able to express ourselves the way we feel we need to express ourselves and exist with life. So again, you know, I was laying on my bed, and it started with just simple motions, you know. I've had this weird back pain. I don't feel it now anymore. I've had this weird mid back pain for 3 to 4 days. And I did this, and now I don't feel it at all. It's surprising me, actually. Anyways, I was just moving, right? My arms are tight from guitar playing, living a tense life, you know, living a mindful life can be a little tense, you know. So just moving, you know, this is the physical representation of all of our life. It's our physical body. So moving it is foundationally a very appropriate thing to do to change your mental state and decide how you want to experience life. So I was moving like I was almost tripping on mushrooms or something, right? Just kind of wiggling around, feeling good. You know, whatever it takes, that's what it is. Whatever it takes. If you need to say something, you need to make a weird noise, you know, whatever it is. You know, we can all admit, just like when we observe actors and we experience that empathy in knowing of what they feel, act, you know. Act the feeling good. Act the feel good. Feel good. Calm your mind and put your mental attention and focus into what feels good in the moment. Live right here, right now. And essentially, things began to feel really good. Things began to feel perfect, you know. I feel like I can breathe. I feel like I can rest now, you know. I feel like I can give myself space. I feel like I can do what is necessary to be at ease. You know what's funny? The opposite of ease is dis-ease, disease. So there's a long-running ideology in the Eastern world that essentially says disease comes from the lack of ease in our bodies. And guess what? I've been experimenting with my voice, with movement. I don't feel my back pain at all anymore. It's been there for 4 days, and you're going to tell me just after 20 minutes it just disappears? I don't know, right? This is just what I'm experiencing. So, essentially, I came to the realization after all of this, I was, in essence, talking to myself inside myself towards the end of this, and learning, right? The only true knowing is by way of experiencing. And again, if you hear this noise outside, I'm next to a busy intersection where there's horns honking and trains running by, a block away. This is something you can do wherever you are. It's a matter of being internally appropriate with what you want, internally aligned with what you want. And then eventually everything around you just becomes a background noise. Kind of like birds chirping. You don't focus on it, it's just there. But anyway, something I realized towards the end of it was that preference. I was like, preference, prefer. Wow, prefer is really close to perfect by way of the emotions within those words, the vowel sounds, the lingual flavors. A lot of you like the way I talk. I'm pretty sure it's because I train myself. I focus on that. I love it. It's music to me. It's love and joy. So essentially, I was thinking, okay, well, this makes sense. Preference sounds a lot like perfect essence. Now, of course, it's a little more choppy and blocky, and no word that is supposed to be different from another word is going to be the same, obviously, right? But fundamentally, there's emotion within those words that are very similar. And I was like, so this is essentially like a preferential meditation, existing purely as your preference. Everybody wants to be perfect. Let's just be purely honest. If you could be perfect, would you? Right? You would. How would we get there? Well, the only nature that we know of perfect, for one, is of course with our mental definition of perfection, which can mean a whole host of cultural norms, like being wealthy or whatever, being good looking. But in the actuality of our own experience of it, the only way we know perfection is by feeling. The only way we absolutely know this, right? Now, consider this. Even a science textbook, if you were to read it, it's essentially feeling you similarly like a religious textbook. You're not directly experiencing the science of that book. You're learning somebody else's words, By direct experience, you can know yourself. You can know. The only thing we know is life woven and existed through our sensitive pathways, through our body, right? All the sensitivities, all the sensitive organs, whatever. So, essentially, I was getting to know what perfection was to myself, for myself, with myself. Perfection is possible, all right? If you want to feel perfect, because that's the thing, right? Knowing perfection doesn't matter whatsoever, because there's no application to your own existence if you just know it. But if you feel perfect, you're quite literally existing as perfection. And if you're purely honest with that, you're pure, right? It's perfect.